Hey everyone, and welcome back to yet another quick tutorial. In today's video I'm going to cover a topic where many of you have been asking about: how to set up a MIDI controller or MIDI keyboard in FL Studio. And if you're just starting out in FL Studio, that doesn't matter. I'm going to take you to all the things step by step. So let's dive right in. Step 1, connecting your MIDI keyboard. The first step is to connect your MIDI controller to your computer. So almost all of the MIDI keyboards use USB to connect to your computer. So simply plug it into an available spot in your computer. And if your keyboard uses a MIDI cable, which by the way is a very old way of communicating with your computer, most modern keyboards use just USB. Most of the cases you are able to plug it into your audio interface. So for example, right now I'm using a Focusrite, and a Focusrite I think has an option to directly plug it into your interface. But if you're not using an interface, you could also buy a MIDI cable to USB converter. So if you plug it in and you don't need an external power adapter, it should light up right away. If you haven't installed all the necessary drivers for your MIDI keyboard, this is the right time. So in most of the cases you can find the latest driver software on the manufacturer's website. So make sure to check it out to prevent any bugs or crashes within FL Studio. You definitely don't want that. And in most of the cases, this is also stated in the manual. Next up, fire up FL Studio on your computer. So once FL Studio is opened up, you select Options and then select MIDI settings under Systems. So now we're able to configure our MIDI input and output devices. So on top, we have output and right here, input. So as you can see right now, my FL key 61 is already recognized and it's already enabled. So let's talk about the output devices. If you're not sending out MIDI, for example, to a synthesizer, you don't need to care that much about outputs. So right now, let's talk about input. So when we play the keyboard, we want to, for example, play a virtual instrument within FL Studio. So we select our keyboard. So in this case, it's FL key 61. I want to make sure we enable the keyboard by clicking this button right here. So as you can see, when I enable it, so it was already enabled, this green power button lights up. So this means we've enabled the keyboard and we should be able to play the instruments using our keyboard. So we don't need to care about the port right here. If you want to, for example, play an external hardware synthesizer and you want to make sure it plays the MIDI you create within FL Studio, there is also a method for this, but that's another separate video. So if you want to watch how to control your hardware synthesizer, I've also created a video about this. The link will be in the description. So for example, right here, if we want to already map out our settings for our MIDI keyboard, we can select this controller type. We could simply select this one. And this is basically a preset for this keyboard. So we can control all the knobs and we don't have to link knobs to, for example, a knob within FL Studio. Very simple. So we don't need to care about these settings except for velocity and release. So we want to make sure it's on velocity and release. Step 5, load up a virtual instrument. So we're now open up the channel rack. So there are multiple ways how to do this. So I use the right mouse button and then select insert. And then I'm using more plugins. And then I'm looking for FL keys. So that's it. So now I'm playing C5. And as you can hear, I'm able to play the piano using my MIDI keyboard. And when you check the left top corner, you can see note on C5 velocity 54. So now I'm playing a C5 on the keyboard, and as you can see, FL Studio also recognizes a C5, and the velocity is 43 in this case. So this is basically how much pressure I put on a specific key. So for example, when I hit the key really hard, so as you can see, when I hit the key really hard, it says 127. So it's measuring how hard I hit the key. And there you have it, setting up a keyboard in FL Studio. So if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in the future, make sure to let me know. So if this video helped you, make sure to leave it a like. I would highly appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day and create some awesome music. See you in the next one.